You don't remember the plot, but you do remember Daft Punk's score. You gotta admit that. It's day 114 of 365. Today's movie, Tron Legacy. Directed by Joseph Kosinski and starring Garrett Hedlund, Olivia Wilde, and Jeff Bridges. This is Tron. Can you believe it's been 15 years since we got a Tron sequel? And the sequel that we're getting this year is not great. Legacy was a success at the box office, but it was absolutely split in half by critics, and that's not a strange thing either. Tron is not usually appreciated when it hits theaters and then gains a cult following thereafter. It happened with the first movie, it happened with Legacy. I doubt if it happens with Ares though, just because there's some box office poison in the lead role. The first film kind of launched CGI into the mainstream. This was a big, crazy, weird push at the time that people weren't expecting. Then the second movie came out during the boon of 3D movies. This is the first of, I think, at least a half dozen, if not 10, 3D movies that I went to see in this year of 2011. Now, during the time between Tron and Tron Legacy, and then Tron Legacy and Tron Ares, the series wasn't dead. It had its own Disney XD show, which is fucking excellent. I watched the whole thing for my podcast back in the day, and then any Kingdom Hearts fan remembers the Tron levels. It just ends up sitting on the shelf for so long and then coming back against all odds. It's kind of crazy as a series for as influential and as much of a cult following that it has. Legacy specifically was my go-to movie for demoing speakers when I worked at Best Buy. That Daft Punk score is très magnifique. And in my structure of these video essays, I usually talk about three things that I really like, and people could probably guess it's going to be the effects and the score and the fact that Tron is weird. But I'm actually going to get into three different ones for this that you may not see coming. The first thing that I love about Tron is my first opportunity on the channel to talk about blocking as an idea. If you're not aware, the term blocking in filmmaking applies to the way that characters move around through a space and the way that we film them in that space so that the story can be told in different ways. Now, to wrap around to the idea of blocking in Tron, I have to talk about the opening scene. It's a flashback when Jeff Bridges is young, like he is in the first movie, assumably just shortly after the events of the first Tron, where he goes home to talk to his son, the son who will grow up to be Garrett Hedlund's character. And within that scene, they're digitally de-aging Jeff Bridges. We're gonna see this across the movie along with his character Q. And this digital de-aging it's okay. It's no Sam Jackson in Captain Marvel, but for 2010, it's pretty fucking good. Now, the blocking and where that comes in is the way they avoided showing his face throughout that whole opening sequence until we get just one shot of him as he's exiting the scene for the very last time. Now, this is important because not only does this allow for less harshness on the direct face for the CGI artist to work with, but the scene itself is underlit and shot in a kid's bedroom at night. These are perfect conditions for using CGI to digitally de-age someone. Without the harsh lighting, textures don't have to be as exact. They can be a little smoothed out from the lack of light. It's not until he's leaving that we get a direct face on shot for a very short amount of time. This is the best way to use this kind of technology, especially at the time. It allows you to hide all the imperfections and let the effect of young Jeff Bridges really work here. I remembered that there was digital de-aging in the movie, but I had forgotten the way that they shoot out the scene with shots across the side of his face or behind him to avoid showing his face altogether, to put the focus in on our main character as he's young. This all works in a kind of orchestra of ways to not only shift Jeff Bridges as being the main character onto his son, but to give us what his son is all about. The setup for the story is that he's missing his dad, and his dad is going to be reintroduced into his life inside of the movie. At that point, we get a current age Jeff Bridges, so no digital trickery has to be used for their reuniting scenes, and the most of his acting can come forward. Clue is a digital created program, so him having a digital face kind of makes sense. I honestly wish they had done it for all of the characters, although that would have been very expensive, so I understand why they didn't. All of this leads into what ends up being just a really interesting way to use emergent technology combined with really excellent filmmaking techniques around blocking. The second thing that I really like about this movie is its kind of spiritual implications. Something that I had missed the first time that I had watched it, even all the times that I watched it at Best Buy. I had missed the spiritual implications of a digital world. This isn't just the Matrix. This isn't people going into a digital simulation. They've in fact created an entire new world with emergent souls. That's what the programs are within the computer. These are people. Their digital bodies are real to them. Our world is separate. It's a totally different reality. It's not that it's a rushing nesting doll of reality. It's totally separate from ours, and they've bridged it with a portal. They've functionally found a new Big Bang and the spiritual dimension, like a Terrence McKenna mushroom trip in the digital world is what's coming out. There are archetypes being discovered, with good and bad being things that may not have been innate to this world, even though the world is technically binary. I had forgotten how spiritual the movie went. Honestly, I wish they had gone into that more deeply. That could have been a lot cooler, if you ask me. Maybe they were worried to be too heady about it. I guess that makes sense, but like a Terrence McKenna take on this kind of thing is a really cool way to go. The newest movie seems to veer even further away from that, so it's something that we may not get entirely, but I just love the idea of them not being trapped inside of a tiny world, but that they've bridged a portal into some other totally different place. The third and final thing that I found that I really enjoyed about this movie is the color palette. Now, something that was really big at the time, you can find full video essays about this topic. The cyan and orange color palette took over movies in America from around this time until now even. We still see this in movie posters and artwork, trying to use those visually appealing complementary colors to show good and evil in a movie. Blue cyan and red orange are so dynamically coded that I've even included them in the B-roll of this video just to show how visually striking they are. Tron leans into that in its binary world with a binary color setup. The black background is the black of a darkened screen. The red represents evil, blue represents good. They've continued this into Tron Ares, and even me telling you that and explaining that is kind of spoilers for the new movie because Jared Leto's getup is all in red, even though he's the protagonist. What does that tell you about what might happen to his coloring across that movie? The fact that the newest movie noticed that this movie was doing that is, I think, key to understanding the new visual palette of Tron. They're keeping that moving forward. It shows up in the TV show as well. If I remember correctly, it shows up in Kingdom Hearts too, with good guys being in blue coated and the heartless being red coated. I think this works here because it had keyed in on something and then made it part of the plot before it really took off as a visual style. Even the Mad Max poster, one of my favorite movies of all time, utilizes this color scheme. It's saturated, it's oversaturated, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. And a movie that's this simple, it's definitely for kids and adults. This is another one of those Disney 4-quadrant movies. It's doing something unique with it. It's making it part of it instead of just leaning on it. And this is the perfect opportunity, right? This is a neon world, so making it the brightest, most saturated version possible really only works here. It's like they were gifted it, and instead of looking that gift horse in the mouth, they decided to use it. But what do you think? Are you a fan of the Tron series? Did Legacy get you eventually? Did you join the cult over time? I like this one straight out of the theater, so I'm curious what your thoughts are. We're going from neon-soaked to absolutely grayscale with our next movie. We're talking about The King's Speech next, and as always, I'll see you tomorrow.